Friends, today we are going to continue with the chapter and we are going to discuss Jainism and its beliefs and teachings. Now, to introduce Jainism, in Jainism there is a concept of having Tirthankaras, and these Tirthankaras were the saint, they were the teachers, they were the seekers of truth, and it was believed that it was through these Tirthankaras that the Jains could achieve moksha. Moksha means salvation or freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. This freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth is called mukti in Hinduism, it is called nirvana in Buddhism, and in Jainism it is called moksha. And this moksha can be attained with the help of the teachers or the Tirthankaras. In Jainism, there are 24 such Tirthankaras. The first one was called Rishabdev, the 23rd one was called Parshavnath, and the last or the 24th Tirthankara was Mahavir. Then you may ask me that why do we call Mahavir to be the founder of Jainism when there were 23 teachers who preceded him? So the answer to that is that it was Mahavira who made Jainism popular to the level that it is today. Earlier it may have been a very localized religion, only catering to the needs of some particular sections, but it did not spread to a very large extent. It became popular and it spread only under Mahavira, and that is why we refer to him as its founder. Now the history, the early history and his life, we are not dealing with it because they are not a part of our syllabus. So we will be discussing now the main teachings of Jainism and the doctrines of Jainism. So the first main teaching are the 5 vows. So any Jain householder or any monk who vows to take up Jainism, they have to follow these 5 vows. The first one is called Ahimsa. As you know, Ahimsa is non-violence or not following the path of violence, not beating anyone or not doing any form of such things. Asatya is not stealing. Satya is not telling a lie. Aparigraha is not possessing property, not acquiring, not buying or having any type of property. Brahmacharya is to practice chastity, that means to stop to oneself from maintaining any physical relationship. So all these 5 are supposed to be the 5 vows of Jainism. So remember, Ahimsa or non-violence, Asatya or not stealing, Satya or not telling a lie, Aparigraha or not possessing property, and Brahmacharya or practicing of chastity. So the Jains actually took the concept of non-violence or ahimsa to a very, very different level. They believed in extreme non-violence. That means they extended it to not only human beings but to animal, plants, insects and even non-living beings. They considered that violence can be of 3 types. The first one could be physical violence, in which we could kill somebody, we could injure them, or we could fight or do some kind of physical injury. The second one is the violence in words, which we very often do. We don't realize, but we use harsh language, we abuse others, and we do some type of violence in words. And the third one is mental violence, which many of us who are silent, we also do. We keep ill will towards others and we want others to fall down, others to not rise in life. So according to Jainism, it is very important not to follow any 3 of these of these violence. That means you cannot be physically violent, you cannot beat or kill or injure anyone, you could not have ill feelings towards others, and you could not use harsh language or abuse others. These were the 3 forms that they preached against. And they believed in the sanctity, they believed in the holiness of every living being or every even small insects, that they have a right to live, so we have to respect that holiness and we don't have to injure them. So this was the first teaching, the 5 vows. Now moving on, they believed in 9 truth. That they said that in order to achieve renunciation, that means to be free from the cycle of birth and rebirth and to get salvation, we have to follow 9 truth. Now these 9 truth are Jeev, that means we have to respect all the Jiva or the living beings. We have to respect all the Ajiva or the non-living beings. Then I'm not doing it in the order, I'm just trying to connect it so that you understand better. Then we have to do Ashrav or good deeds. Our karma or Ashrav should be good. We will have hindrances in performing our good deeds, in performing our karma. Hindrances are problems or obstacles. That is called Savar in Jainism. We have to overcome these hindrances, these problems, and we have to be free from all types of bondage or bandha. But if we do so, we get punya or good, which is the result of these good deeds. and we may get moksha or salvation. We may be free from the cycle of birth and rebirth. However, if we do not do it and we destroy our karmas or perform nirjaras, then we are committing pap or sin. So in this way, actually, I just mentioned all the 9 truths that they are. So one is jiva or living beings, second is ajiva or non-living beings, third you can do in the order that I just mentioned, it will be easier for you to remember, ashrav or good deeds. In performing ashrav, we will have savar or hindrances in the way of performing karma, but we have to be free from the bandha or bondage so that we get punya or the result of good deeds and finally attain moksha or salvation. However, if nirjara or the destruction of our karmas happen, then we are committing pap or sin. So these are the 9 truths of Jainism. Moving on to the doctrines of Jainism. This is a very important question for your examination. It often comes for 2 marks. So please listen to it carefully. Mahavira preached that the ultimate goal of man is to attain freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. So that is what I mentioned, which is called moksha in Jainism. So that is the ultimate goal, to attain this moksha. Not what basically all these mythologies believe is that if our karma, if our deeds are good, we become free from all this coming back to the earth in the next birth. This, and we be free from this cycle of birth and rebirth, and this is only called moksha in Jainism, mukti in Hinduism, and nirvana in Buddhism. So they believe that in order to be free, our karma has to be very good. And what can we do? So we can perform the 3 ratnas. And what are these 3 ratnas? I call them KFC. The right knowledge, right faith, and right conduct. That means our knowledge should be correct, what we know about things. Our conduct, how we behave, that should be correct. And the faith which we have in others and in ourselves and in God, that should also be correct. So please remember the 3 ratnas are right knowledge, right faith, and right conduct. And these 3 jewels, they inspire a true Jain to live according to the teachings of the 24 Tirthankaras. And that is why if we follow the sermons, the teachings of our Tirthankaras, men and women, they could easily lead a good life. They could follow the 3 ratnas and they could ultimately get salvation. The next teaching of Jainism is karma. So like I just said, the karma theory is similar to that in Hinduism, which believes that our deeds, our action should be good, because good deeds will liberate, will free a man from the cycle of birth and rebirth. But if our deeds are not good, we will take another birth, and probably we will have to take an inferior birth to improve our karma or action. So that is why we should always try to think good of others. This is actually very, very true. Karma is a very, very vicious cycle. If you do good things to other people, that good will definitely come back to you. But if you have evil will, if you try to bring others down, some form or the other, when you need help, you will never get it, and you will always have bad karma with you. So please make sure to do good deeds and to think well of others. The more you help others, the better your life is going to be. The 4th teaching is equality. You remember one of the shortcomings of Hinduism was that it gave different treatment. There was the caste system in which Shudras were ill-treated and they were given a very bad treatment. This was one of the reasons why they were discontented and dissatisfied, and they were looking for other religion. But Jainism, it offered them this equality. That means in Jainism, Mahavira stressed that all men and even all men and women, they are equal, and a person should be treated according to their action, according to their karma, and they should be considered equal irrespective of whichever their caste, creed, or whichever sect they come from. And that is how a person can get nirvana, can get moksha. And even the smallest insect should be shown compassion, should be shown kindness. That is the level to which they believed in equality. The next teaching is eternal soul. That means Mahavira believed in the immortality of the soul. They believed that soul is immortal. The soul does not die. Our physical bodies may die, but the soul keeps living on. So that is the meaning of immortality of the soul. Immortal means to keep living on. Amar, what you call in Hindi. The next is salvation. Like I mentioned, like the Hindus, Jain believed in moksha or salvation, which is the freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Like I said, they believed that to attain this salvation, they have to follow the 3 ratnas, which are right knowledge, right faith, and right conduct. However, the Jains, please remember this, that because this is a very strict difference between Buddhism and Jainism. The Jains, they believed in austere life based on non-violence and self-denial. Austere means to lead a very minimalistic type of life with the minimum requirement which is needed. So the Jains, they believed in leading a very austere life, having very very little, only basic things in life, based on non-violence and self-denial. That means denying oneself, stopping oneself from getting anything which one desires, but only having those things which is needed. So that is what the philosophy of Jainism was, to live a very very austere life and not have any luxury, anything except for what is necessary. However, Buddhism, on the other hand, as we will study, it preached the middle path. It said that there is no need to lead an austere life. You don't need to have excess of luxuries, but you don't even need to be very very austere. You can lead a middle path. You can have a balance of both. So this is the difference. But please remember, Jainism preached austerity. And the last teaching is believe in penance. So Jain believed in penance. Penance means giving strict punishment to oneself. And they believed that it is a noble virtue to die of starvation. That means to not eat and drink for many days and to die out of it. It was called Salekhana or Santhara in Jain belief, in the Prakrit language. And they believed that this Salekhana or Santhara, which is to die of salvation, is a very noble virtue and every Jain should try to do it. In fact, when we study about the Mauryas, you will find out that even the founder of the Mauryan Empire, he, after ruling, he took a retirement and he migrated towards the south, where he fasted up to death because he used to follow Jainism. So this Jainism, it laid a lot of stress on such kind of severe self-punishment and severe penance. And that is the reason why many people could not follow it, and that is the reason why Jainism has lesser followers as compared to Buddhism. Buddhism was a little more liberal, little more easier to follow as compared to Jainism. And this question also often comes for a 2-mark question in the exam, that why does Jainism have few followers? So you will say that Jainism laid a lot of stress on penance. To die of starvation, called Salekhana or Santhara, was considered a virtue. And since the Jains laid so much stress on severe penance, many people could not follow it, and that is why Jainism has few followers. The teachings of Buddhism and Jainism are very very important questions for 4 mark in the long questions in the first term. So please learn at least 4 teachings properly. I hope all the teachings, all the doctrines of Jainism are very very clear to all of you. Thank you.